So welcome to another episode of The Gift is the Curse. Today we're in East London, London Fields, the borough of Hackney, with Daniel Keating. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Joe.
Dan and I met probably 18 months ago now. I hired some space from you to work with a footballer.
Yep.
And I just got we ended up, I finished the session after a couple of hours and we were all talking, the three of us. I got a huge vibe. I thought, this guy's cool, and the conversation was effortless, which is always nice. And I drove away, and then 6 months later or so, you contacted me about the work I was doing and this coaching side, and that's really where our relationship really started. And so now we've been working quite intimately for 7-8 months now, and so when I launched this podcast, it was never aimed at just football or anything. It was I just fascinated by people who have this gift of vision and drive, this cocktail of stuff going on where high standards, super feel everything, want to quit all the time, then want to conquer the world. This constant stuff. So I'll start with this: 36 jobs from the age of 16 to 20. I mean, that trumps me by far. I think I had 20 employers in about 15, 16 years. And you're now 41 years of age with 5 businesses.
Yeah.
So let's start, Dan. Let's start. It's not about childhood. Let's go back to when you first thought that you felt different, or you thought there's something here that I want something. I have this vision. I don't want to be normal. I don't want.
Yeah, I don't know whether I can say that I had a specific moment. I just, my dad worked for a company, BT, for his whole working life, and I grew up knowing that my dad didn't really enjoy his job, and a big motivator for me was that I didn't want to get to, 65 and feel like I've wasted that time in my life, or I didn't enjoy it.
What age were you when you remember those thoughts?
Maybe 11, 12.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah, maybe 11, 12. Not so much that it was more just knowing that my dad wasn't happy in his job, and not really understanding how you change that or what you did. It was just that's what my dad does, and he just doesn't like it. Then as I got older, you start to recognise, like, my dad became my hero, because then you're like, my dad did all of that because of me and my mum. I never wanted for anything. We always had good holidays. I was an only child. I am an only child. And I wouldn't say I was spoiled, but for birthdays and Christmases, I always got, the things that I'd asked for.
Isn't this mad? Because you just provoked something in me. Then it's like middle class, right? I mean,
I wouldn't say. I don't know. I grew up on a council estate.
Okay.
I wouldn't say.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. We've just moved into a new house, and our neighbours just said, literally, one of the neighbours said to me the other day, "Oh, your mum and dad have got a few quid, didn't they?" And my mum and dad are okay.
Yeah, sure.
But we're not. I wouldn't say we're middle class at all.
No.
Like I lived on a council estate. My mum and dad had a council house, our first house, which they then bought off the council. Sold it. Made a little bit of money to get into their next house.
But the reason I wanted to take it there is because it's not, you haven't intimated it, and I know you quite well now, obviously. There's not a part of you that's going, my drive comes from the fact I was on a council estate. No,
in actual fact, you and I have spoke about the fact that I haven't had any, massive dramas in my life, or maybe I'm under that. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to anybody that's had challenges, but I haven't had those, those stories in my life where I've had to overcome massive obstacles. My biggest obstacle in my life is in my head. And that's what I've recognised over the years. And I think the 36 jobs, 16 to 20, was all about me knowing that I wanted something that I wasn't getting from the work I was doing. I definitely wasn't academic at school. I was that kid at the back of the class, always messing around and joking. I wasn't a nasty kid. I wasn't fighting or bullying people, but I sat in that middle ground at school. I wasn't in the kind of bullied kids, and I wasn't in like the cool group. I kind of sat in that middle ground, and I actually think that served me, because I've got a theory in my head that I was always fighting and wanting to be in that kind of cool group.
Yeah.
And I think as I left school, I kept that mentality of like wanting, and it developed to drive in me. My dad used to conduct a lot of interviews at BT, so taught me how to perform well in an interview situation.
But see, that's interesting. You said that during that period of growing up, and the whole idea about these conversations was anyone listening to give people hope.
Yeah,
to go, I feel like that, and
yeah.
That you wanted to be in. There was a want to be in this group, or to be seen as, or to feel that or to have success. You couldn't probably articulate it at that time.
No, for sure. I think there was it wasn't a want to be in that group. That actually didn't fuss me massively.
There we are.
Yeah, so it wasn't to be in that group. It was just a want. I didn't know what that want was. And as I've gone through my life, I've recognised that some of that want was for other people, because I wanted so-and-so to think I was here, there, and I'd achieved this. And I think I went through that early part. When I left school, I was out. My GCSEs were shockingly bad. I didn't fail any of them in the respect of getting ungraded, but I didn't do great at my GCSEs. But I got an apprenticeship. First 4 days I was out of school as a fitness instructor. Absolutely loved it, but discovered life and all the other things that were out there that maybe I wanted to be doing and trying.
But this want is there, and I just didn't want to. I don't want to move off that just yet, because it's something that I relate to, and that, I guess that's for me why I've fallen into my role, because the search for me to find that has been such it's pretty much like scaling every mountain range there is to try and find this hidden want. What is this?
I think that the toughness is never knowing what that want is, really, do you? As I've grown older, the want changes. It went from owning the Ferrari and the watch and the money to owning a house and finding a wife, and I wanted to be a dad, and it changed. But I always had that underlying. It's
the underlying one I want to work.
Yeah, it's the hunger for success.
What's the want today?
To be content.
I've jumped forward probably to the end of the podcast.
That's it. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Contentment is
what's that
the hunger.
like?
Contentment, I don't know what it looks like, because it's not going to be a look. It's a feeling, and it's a feeling in me. To me,
how do you feel you find that place?
By constant work every single day, by evaluating me every single day, by challenging everything I think, feel, and respond to every day, whether I feel that I've responded the right way or the wrong way, analysing, critiquing that internally constantly.
But see, that is the gift. And when I did this, the gift and the curse, people, certainly I think in sport, which was my background, because, everyone thinks talent looks sparkly.
Of course, yeah.
And it's this thing that's incredibly sparkly. And if we take the world of football, and if you look at Ronaldo and Messi, the two pillars of that world, it's too easy to see the HD glossy version. Course, and I'm always saying to young players, do you know their biggest gift is this want in them?
Yeah.
They happen to have been blessed with all the other piece of the armory to make them the summit of their industries. But actually the biggest gift they have is that want, this relentless pursuit.
Yeah. So one of the, or two of the businesses that we own are within the dance world. And we have a dance school, or two dance schools. So we have an evening school and a college. And I think now kids are looking at social media, Instagram, and seeing this shiny finished picture. And they believe that if they're not at that point at that moment, then they're never going to achieve it, and they're not good enough. What the stories that are not told are the hours and hours of training, sacrifice, family sacrifice, not just from, I'm sure it's the same in sport. We've all seen the documentaries of David Beckham kicking, however many free kicks after training to get that you know, that key to perform in that key moment. Johnny Wilkinson doing the same thing.
Well, and you're right, and I think that I totally get it. I think kids need to see how hard things are these days, and you know, you're a father, I'm a father. You know, I can't speak for you, but for me and my daughter, I try, and it's like we went to get some holiday stuff for you know, some clothes and bits and bobs for holidays.
Yeah,
and she's really excited, and then I'm trying to teach her about gratitude afterwards, and I heard myself thinking, you don't teach gratitude. Gratitude is you find it through pain a lot of the time, and you try and educate them on how tough it is. But if we park that for a minute, because we'll get into you've worked exceptionally hard, and we'll get into that. The biggest thing, because there's a danger of it. I just saw a post this morning. So Dave Brailsford, who was I think the kind of head of performance at Team Cycling GB,
right.
you know, this kind of marginal gains, the original.
Yeah.
And there was a piece with him around Wimbledon talking about confidence in someone's ability is when you've done so much work that when you go into that performance element for you over the years, selling or whatever, you know yourself, you know the product inside out, you know who you are, you've got all the technical skills, you can just now go and deliver. And I sat there and I got a bit tired of that, because I think it's more than that, because it's actually, once you've got all that technical stuff, and then what? You then have to have the courage to quieten all the voices and all the noise that are going, yeah, but what if this, and what if you don't do that, and what if you don't get this account, and actually follow your instinct. And that's the bit that's missing.
I would totally agree with you. I think I'm not overly convinced you ever quieten those voices.
No.
I haven't discovered that yet. If I quieten those voices, I'm starting to discover and learn how I manage those voices.
Yes.
Going back to kids or the sort of young adults that we work with, and from when I was a kid and sort of just leaving school, I think we're fed this illusion that when you get to 18 or 21, all of a sudden these fears and insecurities and thoughts just evaporate because you're now an adult. I say to our kids on a regular basis, any adult that tells you that is a liar, a straight up liar, because if they're not dealing with stuff in their own mind, then they must be asleep. Because everybody, I carry things that I had when I was 16, I carry with me today. All I'm learning is to manage, and I don't mean manage in
setting your mind its KPIs for the month.
I just mean just learning about me, just literally learning about me, how I respond,
But you know, earlier you said about, like, when I said about contentment, you said contentment for me is the constantly working. And there's a danger that can get misconstrued in terms of, well, if I work, then I'll finally, there's a magic place. But actually, what you were saying is working. And this is the thing with people, anyone I end up coming across to try and, we're all on the same road.
Yeah.
I'm a bend or so around the corner.
Yeah.
I got taken there a couple of years before. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I share what you share in this relentless pursuit of looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever enough. But not
in
in terms of materialism, but just this calling to be better, to be the best version of myself. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, for me, the two questions were, what's the aim is contentment, but how am I going to get there is self-work. It's not that I think contentment is the self-work. So contentment is opening my eyes and in the morning and being grateful for everything and not feeling that there's a missing something there. Maybe the bigger question is, am I ever going to is that ever going to go away? I don't know, but I'm going to do everything I can to understand it and try and figure that out. It's
really funny because obviously, you know, I guess the reason you reached out to me originally is some post that you thought, yeah, that's just like me, and I feel that.
My so I followed you since you come to the studio, and we sat chatting that night, and I remember going home to my wife, and I was like, oh, this dude just rented the studio, like we were just chatting, and you just feel, we didn't even really talk about any of this stuff.
Not
it
really.
wasn't, we were talking more about the physical stuff that
injuries
you do
and
what you do, and it just felt like there was something
connection.
resonated with me. There was a connection, and it was more the fact that I've never understood running a business. I go into a bank manager in a bank, and he's going to tell me how to run a business. My first question when I was 20 with my bank manager was, amazing, thanks for the advice. What businesses have you run? And he said he'd never run a business. He'd gone to university to study
How to run a business.
How can you tell me how to run a business? So you've like you've just said, you're down this path. What actually resonated with me is the fact that where you've been, what you've done, and I felt connections with that. I've seen, if you want to call them therapists, I've gone to see hypnotherapists. You know, I've gone to see people that are, you know, going to coach me on how I can, you know, make X amount of money and achieve this and achieve that. But they're sitting in a house that doesn't represent that they live what they're teaching. I find those things difficult. They don't stick with me.
No.
I wrongly or rightly, I make a judgment on that situation. Our journey so far and our conversations are very rarely about money.
Never.
There's
never
not,
about money.
yeah, there's not a conversation of, you know, Drew's going to make me earn or allow me to do this. And what I've recognised through our process, through talking generally, is how much value historically I'd put on stuff being my benchmark of whether I'm successful or not.
That's big.
And then recognising how inaccurate that is to do that to yourself, and how unfair it is to do that for yourself. I had we'll call it an epiphany. I'm being a little bit over the top, but my wife and I and my little boy went to Bicester Village. We're walking around Bicester Village, and we used to go, being in the fashion world as well, we used to go and have a little spend up and you know, treat ourselves, whatever that means. We treated ourselves on stuff. And I was sitting, first time I'd gone with my little boy, he's about 14, 15 months old. We're in this shop. He's getting barged into constantly because he wants to walk. And people are in this place like they're giving clothes away for free. And I just had this moment of, why am I even here? Like, what am I buying stuff for? What does that actually mean? 500 quid on that jacket, or 200 quid on those shoes, or whatever, or 30 quid on whatever. Like, what am I here for? Like, why does that define me?
See, not everyone asks themselves those questions.
For sure, but I hadn't for years, Drew. This is a year and a half ago.
Okay.
This isn't no, I was 21 and asked this question.
Okay.
My little boy's 3.5. This is like
but you were asking yourself these questions, and maybe you were burying them, or just being or distracting through busyness. Because you said there was this want there as a teenager, and the want is that's the first question, isn't it?
I think our conditioning socially is that our benchmark is stuff. That tells you how happy you are. So if I drive the car and have the watch, and when you're younger have the girl or the guy, whatever your thing is, and I'm in the club and I'm in the VIP area and I'm doing this and I'm doing, that supposedly is the answer to happiness. I bought myself a nice watch.
How that made you feel?
Absolutely no different than I did before I bought it.
I don't know.
I felt a little bit. I felt like I'd just spent a chunk of money.
I don't know if I ever told you this. I was 20. I was 26, 27. You know, quite an established professional by then. You know, I've been 10 years a pro, but I was still in that place where I couldn't find my form. I'd just played on a Saturday. I was in another 6 out of 10 performance, which used to destroy me because all week, when the crowds weren't there and the stadium wasn't there, I'd be 9 out of 10. I'd find a 9 out of 10. Yeah. Come performance time 6. And I was just broken. And it was Sunday morning. It was a drizzly morning. I sat with my mentor at the time, who's passed away now, God bless him. And I was sitting in this lay-by in the A5, little Chev. And I started crying. I was just like, I'm done with this shit. I'm done. I want to quit. I'm just fucking done with this. Where has it gone? How can I not find that form? And I had a Tagger watch. It was probably about $6,000, $5,000, $6,000. That I'd treated myself. You know, I treated myself to. It's just another thing to try and make me feel important.
Of course,
and good enough and big enough.
And
I remember just ripping it off, and it was pissing it down with rain. Rain was hitting, and winding the window down. And, and I lobbed this thing, and it went over into and literally within 10 seconds, lorry smashed it. I remember my mentor looking at me at the time, and he was a very deep guy himself, and been through a lot, and he was in his 60s, and there was a look on him like he was looking at a wounded dog. Wanted to help. But this was all part of the journey. It was like I was stripping myself of all this crap, but not knowing how I could replace that watch and how that watch would temporarily make me feel. That came 7 or 8 years, 6, 7 years after that day.
Right. Yeah.
But
this watch I bought, I don't even wear. Because for me it defines something in my life that I'm not ready for. let me rephrase. It defines a point in my life that I chose something for the wrong reason. I bought my dad a watch at the same time, but I bought my dad the watch for a totally different reason. The reason I bought my dad the same watch or a similar watch was my dad's worked his whole life and it's something that he always wanted. And my mum and dad, like I'm sure most people's parents have done, got me out of a crap situation more than one occasion.
And he would have been happy, because here's the thing as well, isn't it? That in nature and nurture, your parents bring you into the world. It doesn't make you like your parent.
Of course.
To a point. So your dad, I won't call it typical. It's almost disrespectful to say it's typical to work a job 30, 40 years, get the pension, Of
course, yeah.
I don't think that's typical, but it would certainly be seen as back then more standard. But there's this want in you that's unrelenting, isn't it? And that's the thing. It's the search.
It's a search. It is a search. It's constant, isn't it? I'm constantly searching for an answer.
And today, I think, and I certainly know you for the last 6, 7, 8 months or whatever it is. You said earlier you don't quieten the voices. I'm just thinking about myself. Do I quieten them? Yeah, they are quieter because we've talked about it. I'm not perfect. My ego wants to say I meditate every day for an hour and a half like a monk at 5 a.m. I don't. I've got life shit and kids and
of course,
phone calls. I try and find time, probably 4 times a week, to just silence things for 20 minutes. Yeah. Do some reading, some meditation, have some quiet time, go for a walk. By doing that, the voices get a little quieter.
Yeah.
Physically, it would be like going to the gym 4 days a week. Yeah. The back pain gets a little less. It's not gone.
Yeah.
And so but it's the awareness of the voices, isn't it? It's the awareness of what are these? Why are they there?
For sure.
How do I deal with them? How do I manage them, like you say?
I also think that for me, I make excuses, subconscious excuses constantly. I know the changes I need to make, but I don't make all of the changes that I need to make. I've said to you before, I don't think I've never given anything in my life 100%. Even sitting here today, I've never done that. And it doesn't come down to that I don't want to. It doesn't come down to that for any other reason than fear. I have a subconscious get out if anything goes wrong. If I'd have given that 100%, I'd have smashed that. But I only gave that 75 or 80 or 60 or 90. So if it fails, there's like a coping mechanism there. And for me, I think things you and I talk about, for me, that's unlocking that. For me is probably the key for me.
But we discussed that early on, and I felt that's all attached to that. Obviously, it's a protective mechanism.
For sure,
it's all attached to not stepping out into yourself and going, "This is me." And you know what? Being me brings pressure. Yeah. Because being me is this constant want. Yeah. Being me is, and so it's all linked to that ownership of yourself. Yeah. I had this with a young player the other day who his aspirations are so high, but they're not goal setting.
Right.
They're a vision.
Right. Yeah.
And he has the vision because he's been given the tools to complete the mission. Yeah. The universe has given him everything that he needs to go and deliver that mission. Yeah. But that pressure it brings, and he was hiding from that for a few years. Yeah. It was too much. It was almost too scary to be successful.
Yeah, I think too scary to fail.
Yeah.
The failure thing is probably the bigger fear for me. But again, it breeds another question, doesn't it? What's your definition of success? I think, again, historically, we're brought up socially. Success is defined by stuff. When does anybody talk to you at school about being content? And, all they talk about is job, money, house. That's the definition of success. And for me, that's not my definition of success.
Well, for me, you are successful because you're prepared to go and walk on this path.
Yeah, you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago, and I said to you that no matter how I ever feel, in the deepest part of me, there's no way I can stop what I'm doing. No. In the deepest part, and I said it to my I'm sure like everybody like us, you're partner's, it's a challenge in itself to be married or
it's the biggest mirror we'll have, isn't it?
Yeah, it's living with people like us, the way we think. But that for me was a kind of really powerful moment of kind of identifying that and recognizing those things.
And we sit here today. I mean, we've been, we're like, we're 26 minutes in, so we'll finish at 30 minutes for a break. But we're sitting here at one of your businesses today, one of your fashion. It's a fashion business, which is actually where you started, wasn't it, in the fashion world?
Yeah. Once I'd had the 36 jobs and realised that I hadn't found anything from there.
Because fashion was your passion. Fashion was your passion. So,
no, I don't think it. No, running a business was my passion.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to run a business. It
you
wasn't
didn't care
anything
what
to do with
the product was.
No, I'd done everything from a 16. I'd cleaned toilets, hairdressing, sold cars.
Sorry, so this is where the alignment happened. I remember the story. Dancing was your passion. Well, you must have been, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So dancing.
You were at an elite level, weren't you?
Yeah, well, dancing was something I loved. I never knew you could do it as a job. So that was like, I was always that kid on the dance floor. You know, that kid that's skidding around on his knees at weddings. That was always me, sweating. And my little boy is now that person at a party. And never really knew that you could dance for a job. Had that conversation with my careers advisor at school, and was told, your sexuality judges whether you should be a dancer or not. Wow. Which really confused me at 16 or 15. Sure, so actually when I left school, started to dance, just started to go out. And then, was dancing in Ministry of Sound, and got approached by the dancers there and said they were holding auditions and I should audition. So I did and got offered a contract at Ministry, and then didn't realise I got paid for that. I was like, this is amazing. This is ridiculous. I'm going to get paid to dance. And there was a brand called UFO, big baggy combat trousers, with tassels hanging off of them. So anybody of a certain age will probably remember that trend. And that was me. So I went to New York. Me and my best friend, we were just turning 20. Contacted UFO because all our dancer friends used to wear them, but there was nowhere that sold them apart from one shop in Camden. Went and approached them about distribution rights. Didn't know what that was. I just knew I could sell stuff. That was really fundamentally what it was. Got distribution rights on it. And, within 6 months, David Beckham's wearing our stuff, and, Girls Aloud and whoever the kind of pop person was were wearing the product. And that got me into the fashion industry.
I mean, we'll go into the second part of this in a bit, but you could have had all the business plans in the world, 3-year plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans.
I didn't plan what I was having for lunch, let alone what I was doing for the next.
You danced. You loved to dance.
Yeah.
You went out. You did what you did.
Yeah.
You got picked up. And so the answer to all of this is eventually, for me, a spiritual answer, an answer that everything's going to happen in spite of us.
Yeah.
Don't worry, just turn up. To a point.
I
You've
think
turned
probably,
up there.
Yeah,
what have you done?
I think that is a bigger element than anybody acknowledges, because human nature is we need to be in control.
We need proof, don't we? Yeah.
And I think would I change my journey to this point today? Absolutely not.
No.
It led me to everything. I've got an amazing wife. I've got a little boy. I've got businesses that 90% of the time I enjoy them. But I know there's more. Like you and I talk all the time about just knowing that there's more. There's something. Well, there's something I'm destined for, but I don't know what that is.
Well, I'm aware we're at the half an hour has just flown by, and we've kind of tackled some really good stuff there. So we're going to take a short break, and then the second half we're going to get right into that. What is that destiny? How do we get there? The spiritual solution in running companies, being a leader, management, all that stuff. So
perfect.
This podcast is brought to you in association with the Turmeric Company. With a unique extracting technique, eliminating dilution of these incredible active ingredients, the Turmeric Company have produced a series of powerful drinks with 5 grams of turmeric in every bottle. They're leading the way in enabling people to reap the full benefits of nature's wonder ingredient. Details can be found at www.theturmericcompany.com. Let's get stuck into the second part of this. On the first part there, you finished brilliantly. We talked about your first journey into business and from dancing, you've stumbled across the combat trousers, and then in America you got the rights for doing that, and then you were selling it to all the stars here, and then things started to grow. And you said, and I said about how things just happen. You start doing what you do and things just happen. The hard bit for me is obviously you're young there and you don't know, you're just in the flow and things, I'm doing this thing now, but then it becomes serious, because then it's like, now this is a business.
I think that's where the problems start, though.
Yeah.
I always,
Go on, give me all your views around that way, because it goes from that natural flow
for sure
to that
to
voice
be conditioned.
Ooh.
I don't think it's actually your voice. For me, it wasn't my voice.
No.
It was other people's voice. So you've never run a business before. How are you going to do this? You know, you don't know that industry. You're not from the fashion world. You know, you're not a trained dancer. All of these things.
And you were getting all of that.
Yeah.
From various sources. And
look, I think my opinion, and you know, I'm sure I'll be shot down if I'm wrong, but I do think a British mentality is we quite enjoy people failing.
Yeah.
If you look at an American mentality, it seems to be more about success. If you've what we would perceive as failed, I think the other places see that as lessons learned. I listened to a podcast of a VC saying, an American VC says that his theory is that he only will invest in someone if they failed at least 2 times previously.
That's really interesting.
Because he believes that then you've learnt those lessons. Where if you flip that into the UK, and maybe my perception, I'm sure people have had very different experiences, but my perception was that you're not going to be able to do that, so you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that everybody sitting there with their popcorn waiting for it all to pop.
Well, I had that with Barclays. Talk about bank manager when I first set up my first business, and we rode it hard, and we were seeing a lot of players, but we couldn't make the overheads work, and business partner wanted to get out, classic stuff. We had some debts around the business, and I said I wanted to set a new business up, and there's some guy on the phone. I said, look, we want to put this debts here and do this. He goes, well, to be honest with you, the way that's gone and the way your business has gone, I'm not sure you've got much credit with the bank now. And
Right.
And I said, but this is awesome, right? What we've done.
Yeah.
We've gone big, we grew quick, we failed, we're going again.
Yeah.
He just went quiet. He was and you can see, no, that's not awesome.
Yeah.
And you're right, like the people, the athletes that I mentor, the young athletes.
Yeah.
I almost see it as my role to drag them to pain as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't mean physically pain. I mean getting right into their rib cage.
Just fail as many times as you can. Because that's the only lesson.
But even if they're 17,
getting
into their failures, making them look at all their failures and their pain.
I think the wording's wrong on that though, Drew, isn't it? It's that a failure is negative. A failure has negative connotations attached to it. You know, they're lessons.
Lessons, yeah.
When you're a baby, my little boy, he didn't wake up one day and run around our house. He crawled. He stood up. He fell on his rear end. He fell over a few times. He bumped himself. Then he starts to walk a little bit. Then he tries to run and he falls over again. We don't sit there pointing the finger at him, telling him that he's a disaster because he can't walk yet. We go, amazing, dude. You've learnt from that. Now go again. For me, that's the dad I want to be. You know, because my dad brought me up to treat people how you want to be treated. I want to be treated like that by people. Like it's not a failure. No. I'm not failing. As we stand at the moment, we employ, you know, we're small. We employ probably 15 people, and maybe another 15 freelance people. That comes with its own trials and tribulations, and you know we're very close to everybody. So we're not a big business where we're detached from the staff. We're very much probably too connected to them in lots of ways. But I try and treat people how I would like to be treated, and I think chastising people or not celebrating people trying is a huge negative.
It is. I mean, so when when we were talking about your businesses, then the fashion business, and then it becomes a business.
Yeah.
And all of your businesses have become businesses.
Yeah.
And that's where it's almost the voices ramp up, don't they? And the controlling aspect of us grows. It becomes harder.
Expectation, isn't it? It's expectation. Yeah. It comes down to my expectation, external expectation, and I think.
But do you not also think when we start to have a little bit, when we start to get success, financial success, business success, for me, because I knew inside how good I could be.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, this is the start now we kick on, now we get here.
Oh, for sure. I thought I was going to be to put it in today's terms, the next Mark Zuckerberg, who Facebook wasn't there at the time, but that kind of like I was, holding a shining light that everybody was going to follow. But
then here's the thing. Here's the thing that we discussed early on. But that hasn't changed. You've still got that. Your journey has been like when you reached out a year and a half ago. It's like I'm sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired. There's this part of me which I can't unlock.
Yeah, I think my when we sort of initially spoke, my thing was. I think when I initially reached out to you, my focus was probably still, I wouldn't say financial, but it was success related, but my attachment to success was the physical stuff. It was definitely there for sure, but not in a want for things. It wasn't necessarily to show people what I had, but I was conditioned to believe that's what success was. I think as we've gone through the journeys and the conversations that we've had, just recognizing the fact that that's not going to define that type of success isn't what's going to define me, but also recognizing, and one of the things that we spoke about was that I always felt I got to a certain level and never got through that level. The saying, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got, right? So when we first started to talk, it was about, okay, how do I change? I don't think it was big changes, but there's certain aspects of how I approach things, how I process things, my decision making that I needed to change.
Well, also, because otherwise I'll forget this, and I think it's really important that there's the old adage, isn't there? I think it was a boxing one, that it's one thing getting to the top, is another thing staying there.
Yeah,
I see it all the time. It was like, I take myself, rocketed through by 18. I'm in the first team with England, Adidas contracts. I'm there. In my head went, I'm there. I'm there. I sat in my bedroom at 8 years of age. I am there.
I
didn't have anyone to come in and go, you're there. Look over the top of that mountain. What can you see? Another mountain range.
For sure.
So I think, and how I got there, effortless ease, really. Hard work, sweat, graft hours. But outside of the graft and the sweat, I was generally, because of my age and I wasn't too conditioned, I was generally just me. Me. Why did I see that pass? Why did I see that? Why did it just happened?
I remember driving down, I told you this story, I remember driving down Finchley Road, and we'd had the fashion distribution company had been going about a year. And we started with $3,000 and, on 2 credit cards and, much like lots of people have the similar stories, right? It's, started with not so much and had created a business out of fresh air. And I remember driving down Finchley Road and there was a guy pulled up next to me in a Ferrari. And the only way, I said to you, it makes my skin tingle now just saying it to you, but the only way I could describe that is I could smell the inside of that car. One more year, that car was mine. I was going to be 21 and I was going to be rolling about in a Ferrari. 8 months later, that business had failed. I was putting sandwich filler in bread with company credit cards that now had no money on them. We lost everything that we'd built up. And I had a similar scenario within the next business I started. Sat with Marvel, as in the Spider-Man people, and the vice president of Marvel Europe told me that I'd created the next Post-it. I thought I'd done it. I thought I was there. This is it. Beaches, yachts, cars, watches. It's all here. And I tell you a moment in this business that's crazy. There's 3 moments in this business that were super powerful for me. We went to I had a business partner in this business. We went to Ireland to meet. It was a kids shoe accessory company. And we went to Ireland to meet distributors for Ireland. They were going to work and sell our product. We actually walked into the 2 guys that own the business owned, if you remember Heelys, they're still about now, the kids shoes with the wheels on. So they own the distribution.
Me for ages,
so they own the distribution on them. I think one of the gentlemen was a doctor and he'd invented some cryptic code that you use when you're making online payments. He invented this code or owned the patent on it. And then they were also the distributor for like Red Bull and Evian in Ireland. And we'd gone in there thinking that they're going to be our agents, distributors. Within 20 minutes, they'd offered to invest in the business. And me and the lad that I was there with, we were walking back through Dublin Airport, coming back down the escalators. And I said to him, I feel so strange. Like, literally, it felt like I was in a dream. And he said to me, he said, you know where that is? He said, because you've dreamt of this moment for so long, the reality of the moment doesn't feel real. And it was I can see it now just coming down the escalators as we're coming into like the duty free area. So that business started to take off and went really well, and it plateaued. And we used to have a little office in Farringdon, and I had like 4 or 5 people that worked in the business with me. I can see it now. I'm sitting at the desk, and I just had this overwhelming feeling. Nothing had happened. Had this overwhelming feeling that business was going to fail. Within 6 months, it was done, and I'd lost everything that time, like house, everything. And that opened my eyes. That moment opened my eyes so much to the power of thought and creation in my head. I believe I created that failure. I believe I created that moment in my head.
So here's the thing for me. If I don't know myself, my decision-making process will be based off knowing myself. Knowing myself and trusting myself. So that first business where you had the moment with the guy in the Ferrari, 8 months later, it's gone.
Yeah.
I would say, and I'm sure we talked about this at some point, but why? What happened in that 8 months? And I don't mean business decisions. I mean your gut instinct. How strong did you stay aligned with decision making in terms of no, I feel that, fight people off. No, like know it. And
I feel like I allowed other people to influence way too much.
There we are. Thank you.
And I mean that in a good and a bad sense. The Marvel vice president telling me we got the next Post-its. I believed the hype, and I hadn't done the work at that point. It was very new. The business was relatively new, and I believe and I don't mean the physical outlay of work and time, but mentally, I believed it was there. I'd already done it.
Well, I love that line. I allowed others to influence. I want to sit on there.
And I still do that now, Drew. We spoke about it.
It's one thing we talk about.
In the last couple of days, we've spoken about it.
It's hard to do. Look, it's not, and it's a constant process.
And
I'm called quite confrontational and aggressive by people, which is really bizarre because I can understand the way they view it from the outside.
Yeah.
I'm an absolute pussycat inside. I cry. I was dropping my daughter at school this morning, and Coldplay, Sky Full of Stars came on. I'm crying my eyes out. She just looks at me now, like, just laughs, like, there he is again.
You go with a dad that cries a lot.
Yeah. I mean, God, don't. I explained to her why I'm crying. I said, honey, great people move me. Great people move me. Yeah. From a great golfer to a great footballer to a great musician to great people move me. Their talent moves me.
Yeah.
Just looking, all right, Dad, just get me to school.
I think you empathise with what's gone in to get there, though, don't you? The connection, it's not even a conscious connection. No. It's just to achieve any level of anything, you recognise the sacrifice that's gone there.
For Chris Martin and Coldplay to get there, come what may, he stayed aligned with himself. He's not allowed too many. He'll have allowed people to influence him, but he's not allowed too many people to influence him. Raheem Sterling in football had the great year last year. His interviews have gone everywhere, and it's funny because the media they've jumped on the racism one. Of course. They haven't talked about him. He's done some 2 or 3 ones going, well, what's been the big change? You did a piece of what's changed. You're now scoring goals. And I heard him say to an interview, no, I was been scoring goals from 8. That's why people invested in me at 9 years of age. I haven't started doing anything.
What's the saying? It takes 10 years to become an overnight success. It's crazy, isn't it?
He's like, I've not started doing anything. I just got lost. I started listening to people. And they said, you're such a big figure in the media now for young kids. What's your advice? He goes, listen to no one. And they said, what do you mean? He goes, number 1, listen to no one. Number 2, listen to no one. Number 3, listen to no one. Now, people could say, what a conceited, arrogant so-and-so, but they don't see the humanitarian work. He does the charity work, him as a father. He just knows to be at the summit of the most competitive industry in the world. He's like, I was miserable, underperforming and underachieving for 8 years, and all I did was listen to people.
not the social issue there though? Is that people put that on? Who am I to judge you?
Yeah.
Who am I?
And it's that word advisor. Who are the advisors? What are you advising?
Yeah.
It scares the life out of me, that word. People think of being a coach, I advise. I mean, I remember you said to me, what's your advice? I mean, I'm sure you said to me, what's your advice?
Yeah, you've never advised me on anything.
How can I advise you?
And I mean that in the best possible sense.
Who the fuck am I?
All you've done is you should have a T-shirt made with the strap line. Yeah, of you just hold a mirror up, and I think, it's a difficult thing, isn't it? It's a difficult thing not. It's a difficult thing not being influenced by
that
other
part,
people.
and that's why that part of your business there, that 8 months, what the fuck happened? You can't rock it up here.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to go here. The only external influences is there's a Brexit, there's a crash, there's a Wall Street.
None of that was going on. I think it was all in me.
When you said you allowed others to influence, take me back there. Have you got any examples of that period?
Yeah,
go.
the Marvel guy, he influenced me.
Yeah.
Someone I sat with that,
because you'd pedestaled him because he's the Marvel guy potentially.
He's the vice president of Marvel Europe.
What would you do today? If you came out of that meeting and he said, this next thing is that, how would you process that?
I've got it at the moment with the dance floor business that we have.
Okay.
It's going nuts and everybody's like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Okay. It's not. Sliced bread. It's not, the realism of it is that we can all get caught up in that moment of, oh yes, we've made it. The question is, for me now, am I doing it egoically for everybody to pat me on the back and high five me and give me a cuddle and say, Dan, you're amazing. You've created the next thing since sliced bread. What am I doing it for? And that for me is the bigger question for me every day. And it's actually now my thought processes or how I feel is very much internal. It's not about others. I'm not doing it for anybody to I say that with sort of with a kind of caveat to, like, the only people I really want random. No, it's not random. I say that all the time. It's not random. The only person I want to be proud of me is my dad. My dad's never run a business in his life, and if my dad ever hears this, I love my dad and I respect every opinion he gives me. Of course. I don't agree with lots of the opinions he gives me from a business point of view because he's never run a business. Sure. But good or bad, first person I want to talk to is my dad. Yeah. First person. Because he tells me straight what he thinks. Whether I agree, it's that reality. It's and generally now, with the exception, obviously, my wife, I don't massively listen to people critiquing whether I can or can't do something. I wasn't a dancer and I toured all over Europe dancing. You can't open a dance school. I've done that. I have 270 kids. You've just opened another one, a bigger one. Yeah, we opened a dance college. We couldn't do that because we weren't in education. We've done that now. We can't have that building. We're going to open the biggest dance centre, probably in a 30-mile radius from us.
And that's your message, and that's what inspires me with anybody who achieves what you've achieved, what these people achieve, what I've achieved. Yeah, that at some point, now at 40, and even when I started working with you, you still hadn't clearly gone, there wasn't that super aggressive. We talked about aggression.
Yeah.
That super aggressive. Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck them.
Yeah. I valued everybody's opinion too much at that point. That was what was influencing me.
Because your lack of awareness of who you are at that core level. Remember we talked about that inner Dunstable kid?
Of course.
Grew up in Dunstable, Bedfordshire. Anyone who knows Bedfordshire, near Luton, Dunstable's not a great area. Greatest respects.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I moved to Harpenden. I love Dunstable though. I'm going to say that, but I love Dunstable. It's my hometown. But
and I'm saying it's not a great area. It's not great.
What my definition of that was the fact of that there was a lack of exposure, and there still is a lack of exposure for the people in that area, kids in that area, of showing of what they can achieve and where they can get to. So my mission when I went back there to open a dance school was, I'm going to find the 14-year-old me that you know, is being told that they can't. And that's probably why we grew those businesses, because, you know, I was the local lad that had gone away and done. I didn't have an amazing dancing career. I wasn't an incredible dancer.
But what did you dance in? I haven't even asked.
No, I mean, I did like X Factor stuff, and I've done like the Brits and those type of things. So I did fun stuff, but I wasn't an amazing. I danced with incredible dancers, but I was always really professional. I worked hard. If I couldn't learn choreography, I'd go home and I'd learn it, and the next day I would know it. I had just a work ethic that, and we say that to kids now. We see that a lot. Very gifted kids that maybe that over a 2 or 3 year period get outstripped by the hard worker.
Always, yeah. There's an old one, isn't it? The talent's not enough. Hard work beats talent every day.
Course.
How do you? Because I have that a lot, and certainly in football, we have this big thing where these young lads are now millionaires. They're millionaires by 16.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I get a bit tired of the media going, we must change. It's not fucking change. It's going to get worse because they're assets.
Yeah, of course.
The businesses need to lock them down.
Yeah, of course.
But it's bullshit. When you actually sit with these guys, yes, they're talented. Some are quite happy, content.
Yeah.
I'm cool, thanks.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them that they have so much talent, but you have to go into the pain inside them.
Yeah.
But as a coach, that means I have to be in touch with my pain. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's too many coaches and leaders not in touch in business, or not in touch with their feelings and their emotion, their pain, to drag that out of somebody.
I'm very in touch. Yeah, I'm very transparent with kids, particularly. I'm saying kids. I mean 16 to 19-year-olds. Yeah, I'm very, very transparent with them about what. I tell them that we meet. I have someone that I meet because it helps. It's helping me try and answer and achieve whatever I'm meant to achieve. I don't have an answer for that.
What a great thing to give them. That there's you in their head, the pillar of your car, and but you're still you do your emotional gym work. You go to your emotional gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't see the emotional gym; they just see the Instagram gym.
Yeah, of course. And I share with them fears, things that, you know. So from our studio at the moment, you can see over the road to the new studio that we're taking, and the kids are super excited about it. But I share that fear. Like, it's scary. It's scary. I'm not gonna. And I go down the road of, if people tell you they haven't got these fears, especially adults, they're lying to you.
Brilliant.
Like, I'm scared every day.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I have a fear every day. There's
likewise.
fear there every day.
All day, actually.
Yeah.
By the minute.
Yeah, there's always. Yeah, if I had a day, I'd probably think I was dead if I didn't have a day of being fearful.
Isn't it great how aware you are of those fears? Has that improved over the last 6-7 months? This is not me. I'm not.
Absolutely.
It's nothing to do with me. No, it's nothing to do with me.
No.
But your awareness of yourself.
Yeah. What I think the journey that I've gone on, probably in the last year, of being in a place of recognizing that I wasn't connected to the true me, and now the journey that I've been going on with us, the conversations that we've had. I think it's funny. Jack and I were talking in the car. One of the guys that works with me, we were talking in the car this morning, and I think what people do is I definitely did it. I was like, right, I'm going to talk to Drew for a month, and then I'm going to be this new person. Everything's going to have changed. I'm going to set the world on fire.
I used every psychologist in London for that one, I think, in my 20s. Carry on.
And actually what I realised was that it's small increments, isn't it? It's small changes.
It's a journey.
And I don't think, for me, I genuinely don't believe that journey's ever going to stop. I think it's always going to be, and when I feel comfortable at one level, I'm going to be pushing to feel comfortable at the next level. And I think which makes you a hell of a leader.
And you are a leader. You know, it's a term. You lead businesses. You lead young kids. And this is the thing. I see about too many leaders. They want a technical or a practical solution, and the solution actually is a spiritual solution. Your growth emotionally makes you more in touch with whoever you're leading emotionally, which actually is all most people need.
Yeah, for sure.
Them,
for sure. I definitely think the conversations you and I have had about, you know, just being honest about feelings. I'm a very sensitive person, and we were talking a couple of days ago about how, like, big things can happen and they don't seem to faze me massively, and I can push on through to the next thing, but yet someone can make a comment to you that you're not prepared for, and it hurts. And we spoke about it. I've had this very recently, and it makes me sad. I don't know how to, I can try and be very manly about it and say I'm really annoyed at it and it made me angry. It doesn't make me angry. It makes me sad. It hurts. It's because I understand everything I go through in my head mentally to try and give as much as I can give. And whether that be, directing someone or just giving people my time. My opinion is now the only valuable thing I have is my time. That's it. Yeah. That's all I have. The watch can be replaced, the car can be replaced, the clothes, the wife, the house, all of those things. Yeah. All of those things. The only thing I can never replace is that moment I've just had.
And in the time, what do you do? And I said this to a young guy before he went on the pitch overnight. And 4 years we've been batting away, and he's had a lot of pain. He's been pushed further and further down the pyramid. But he's ready, and he's had an opportunity now. And we spoke before he went on the pitch recently, and I said to him, there's 90 minutes you're going to be out there, an hour and a half. I said, you can't get it back. Yeah. I said, I have one fucking objective that you're going to complete by the time you come off that pitch. I don't give a shit if you score, give the ball away. Not interested. Been through too much. Don't ever in that minute turn your back on your instincts. If your instinct says you've seen the play three episodes before it's happened, you've seen something, yet the direction's getting shouted off, because it's coming at you from all angles during the game. The crowd probably, you fucking ignore it. Do what you want. The big dogs, the big players, that's what they do. They do it. Then they get the clap from the same people who've shouted. Of course, accept that. Don't go crazy and drink 3 bottles of wine just to get through the madness. That's what it looks like. Yeah. But that's your objective. Don't sell out on your instinct.
Yeah. You've definitely, through the process that we've been through,
be aggressive with that. I'm very aggressive with that. I mean, you've talked about aggression.
Yeah. I think you definitely brought me back to that of starting to, again, something Jack and I were talking about in the car today. Jack's like my soundboard when you're not around.
Oh no, that's good,
we talk about loads. Jack's a 21-year-old lad that, he's like my little brother, and if I can, for a young guy, he's very much on Gary V, and he's on those things. And if I wish I was there,
there wasn't those.
No, there wasn't. But I wish I had that awareness when I was 21. So we talk a lot about it, and we were saying this morning that that fear that you have, that acknowledgement of fear that you have, and being able to use that awareness and that fear to kind of drive on through what you're trying to do, through the challenges, and ignore the external noise, and then trust in that gut feeling. What I've recognized really recently, is that actually connecting with my gut feeling is when I ask people's opinions on what I already know. And I've recognized I've done that for a long time. So there may be a situation, we had a situation, I'll tell you the situation. We had a situation where we've got a fashion business and a dance business. We had something that was going to cross over. I felt I was going to then leave. We were going to Paris. I was going to leave early from Paris to come back and deal with the dance business. The priority was to stay in Paris. The brands wouldn't have been happy for me to leave. I knew that. And what I recognized is I knew it because I was questioning it. And what I would historically do is look for the answer I wanted, not the answer I knew was correct. So I would then turn around to...
You'd ring people.
Right.
Text people.
Drew, I need to do this. What do you think? And I'd phone round and speak to people until someone gave me the answer that I want. I'd ignore the other 10 answers that were actually the real decision I need to make. But I would then hang my hat on, Drew told me that, no, he reckons that's fine. But then knowing that that's the wrong decision. And all
that is other people putting their shit on you. They're putting their opinion. But I dig into them, go, imagine if you had that time where you've done that. Let me quickly speak to him now.
Yeah.
Why did you say that to Dan?
Yeah.
Well, because in 2008, I did, that's your life.
Yeah,
that's your shit.
Yeah,
and why did you make that decision? Well, actually, I was scared.
Yeah.
And now, but all that fear, buried, now you're advising on that fear.
Yeah.
It's a circle of...
So in turn, I stayed in Paris and made exactly the right decision. And I even said to Jack on the phone, because I called him, and he knows the guys that own the brand, and I called him, and he was like, well, look, it'll be fine because I'll be there. And I was like, but we both know that I should be there, shouldn't I? I said, I don't even know what I'm asking you, I know. And he was like, no, you should. And it was those, for me now, those moments are the value. They're not big moments. They're not big moments externally. They're massive moments internally to go, okay, that's that feeling. So when I get that feeling, I need to recognize why I'm making the decisions I'm making.
But the hardest thing is to be in your feelings. It's painful. It's really damn painful to be in your feelings.
Of course, yeah, of course it is.
Really damn, because you feel everything, and you've got to be in tune with them, because they are they're my GPS.
Yeah.
I love that description.
Yeah.
They're my GPS.
Yeah.
They've already got the destination pre-programmed.
Yeah.
You wouldn't drive along, would you? In your car's going turn left and go, no, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
mental, crazy making.
I think as well the realization that I've had recently is about embracing that journey a little bit more. And just desperately trying to enjoy.
Didn't people piss you off when they said just enjoy the journey? I remember just saying that in the early days. Just enjoy the journey. I'm fucking enjoy the journey. I haven't got pots of piss in. Every muscle on my body kills. I'm in pain every day. I'm eating lettuce leaves. What is to enjoy? But actually look back and think, actually there's,
I think it's more moments, isn't it? It's enjoying moments, being present. A lot more is as everybody does, my mobile phone is generally sellotaped to my hand most of the time. And just trying to, release myself from that and be in those moments. If it's just sitting on the floor with my little boy, like.
But look at that, you just the awareness of, you're going to now go, I'm aware I'm here again with the mobile, so I'm going to put it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
People go, I think a lot of people, I know I've done it. I'm aware, but I need it, so I'm going to keep it. Whereas going, actually, no.
I was watching a thing on Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran doesn't have a mobile phone anymore.
He got rid of it and went to Japan for like a year. And
and he just emails.
What a guy.
That's powerful.
But look how aligned he is.
Yeah.
That's why he's the best in the world.
Yeah, that's
mate, we're an hour and 2 minutes.
Sorry, mate.
No,
I love to talk.
This shit you just talk and talk. Amazing. I didn't know. Never know where these talks go. But I think
it's been fun, man.
Yeah. The only idea of this whole thing is again, like you said about Jack's got all these platforms and mediums. Someone somewhere might listen to this next week, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, 5 years, 10 years. Someone will go, fucking, that was.
Yeah, I hope so.
Beautiful, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, dude.
Cheers, bub.